Defender is not a well-known game today, but it is one of the hardest arcade games of its time, with reports saying that novices were only able to play for under 10 seconds per attempt. Playing Defender made me think about difficulty in video games in general. Gamers often love difficulty. Elden Ring sold over 30 million copies. Now, whether you consider Elden Ring hard or not is up to you, but it's clear that people like the perceived difficulty of the game. Even me needing to say perceived difficulty is because inevitably, someone watching this video will claim that Elden Ring is actually a baby game made for babies. Gamers love the fact that they can beat a game that is considered hard by others, which is, truthfully, baby mode. But difficulty has diminishing returns. If a game's difficulty feels unfair, then the player will just stop playing. In Elden Ring, when you die, you can almost always say, I know what to do for that attack now. In a game like I Want to Be the Guy, a jump may be pixel or frame perfect, requiring a level of precision that is often unreasonable. There's a reason why I Want to Be the Guy isn't as popular as Elden Ring, but how do you know when the difficulty of a game is too much for the average player? This is one of the toughest questions to answer in game design. I believe that it all comes down to fairness. Trying to dig into the minutiae of what exactly makes a game fair is impossible due to its subjectivity. A lot of people think that Elden Ring bosses pausing in the middle of an attack is unfair, but since it's consistent, it's only unfair the first time you see it, which is a natural part of the progression of the Souls games. But what about Defender then? This video is about Defender and its difficulty. It is a side-scrolling arcade game where you are defending astronauts on a planet that is being taken over by aliens. You have a lot of ways to interact with the game. You can move the ship up and down, reverse direction, thrust in the direction the ship is facing, shoot, use a smart bomb to explode all enemies on the screen, and teleport the ship using hyperspace. So where does Defender get its difficulty? I think the difficulty of Defender comes from the overwhelming amount of stuff it throws at you. You have 5 buttons to think about, 2 directions to navigate, and 6 types of enemies to deal with, and their own bullets. Then there's the radar that you can use to find where enemies are on the map, adding to the information overload. It's easily the most complex arcade game I've played so far. New players will struggle with using all of the controls effectively. So what is it like to play today? I immediately felt the difficulty as I played. I hadn't read the reception section on the Wikipedia article for the game before I started playing. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just loaded up the game and started playing. Then I died, and then I game over pretty quickly. Damn, this is hard, I thought. At first, it felt overwhelming and pretty unfair. There was just so much going on. I hadn't mastered the controls, I didn't even realize that I could turn my ship around to face the other direction. The enemies were so small and hard to shoot that I was constantly missing. Then the mutants started coming. These are enemies that spawn when a lander takes an astronaut to the top of the screen. The mutants are hard to hit and anticipate. They move erratically and are extremely aggressive. They're very frustrating to deal with. But slowly, over time, I got used to them. I could tell when an enemy is going to be a mutant or a lander from the radar and react accordingly. Then there were the baiters. Baiters are these little pea pod looking aliens, and they're even harder to deal with than the mutants. They quickly move left and right, and they ram into you, making dodging difficult. They are thinner than the other aliens, so hitting them is harder as well. Even after like an hour of playtime, I still don't really know how to deal with them other than just running away as quickly as I can. The other enemies didn't leave a huge impression on me. I think I just didn't see enough of them, but the other enemies didn't feel as notable as the mutants or baiters. There are the pods that spawn a bunch of swarmers, but those can be easily dealt with using a smart bomb. Also, I basically never used hyperspace, as the field of play was so small that it never felt useful. Defender's difficulty toes the line of fairness. I think to answer the question of whether Defender is fair is quite difficult. Some of the enemies feel fair, though the baiter is still very hard to deal with. The overwhelming amount of stuff going on became increasingly manageable as I played. Though, if I had to pay each time I played, like on a real arcade cabinet, I do think I would find Defender to be unfair. Difficulty of this game made me think about the value proposition of arcade games in general. I never really thought about the pay to play model of arcade games until I played Defender. I mean, it's only a quarter per play, right? A quarter in 1981 is worth almost $1 today. I played probably 20 to 30 real attempts so it would be about $20 total, and many of the attempts were less than a minute in playtime. I would feel hard done if I paid that much on a game at an arcade and only got a few seconds of playing. However, I do see the appeal for people that want a challenging game after mastering other arcade titles. Overall, I think Defender is just fine. For me, I don't think I'd choose Defender over another game if I walked into an arcade. It did sell over 55,000 cabinets and was Williams Electronics' best selling game as a company that only made pinball machines before Defender. This led to them making more arcade games like Joust and Robotron 2084, both of which appear on the Wikipedia list I'm following of games that are listed among the best. While, in my opinion, it may not be one of the best games of all time, I'm glad it got William to make more games, as more video games is always good. Thanks for watching. Next time on WikiQuest, I'll be playing Donkey Kong. Bye bye.